Dana Perino, the renowned Fox News anchor, recently turned heads in a delightful twist of personal news. It turns out that beneath the serene composure she maintains on screen, Dana Perino keeps a love story that is both intriguing and profoundly moving. Dana Perino's fans have finally had their curiosity satisfied as the most private aspect of her and her husband has been revealed. Keep calm to listen to her story. Dana Perino's unexpected encounter with Peter McMahon on a flight from Denver to Chicago in August 1997 is a classic tale of serendipity, where chance and timing aligned perfectly to bring two people together. At the time, Perino, who would later become a prominent figure in political communication and a co-host on Fox News, was not actively seeking a romantic relationship. In fact, she was contemplating taking a break from the often grueling and disheartening world of Washington, D.C. politics. Little did she know that this routine flight would change the trajectory of her life in a way she could never have anticipated. As Perino boarded the plane, she was likely preoccupied with thoughts unrelated to romance. The political climate in Washington, D.C. had left her disillusioned, and she was ready for a break. The idea of meeting someone new, especially someone who could offer a fresh perspective outside the sphere of politics, may not have even crossed her mind. But fate had other plans. Peter McMahon, a British businessman, was also on that flight, and like Perino, he wasn't expecting to meet someone special. As he walked down the jetway, he noticed Perino ahead of him, a petite blonde with a ponytail, exuding a certain charm and energy. McMahon couldn't help but hope that he might end up sitting next to her. His first impression was simple, yet telling. She was attractive, and he was drawn to her immediately. The moment McMahon found his seat beside Perino, the foundation for their relationship was set. For Perino, McMahon's first impression was just as positive. She quickly noticed that he was not only charming and handsome, but also seemed to tick all the boxes of what she might have wanted in a partner, even if she hadn't been consciously searching for one at the time. His British accent was the first thing that stood out to her, an accent that often carries with it connotations of sophistication and charm. She also noticed he wasn't wearing a wedding ring, an observation that left the door open for romantic possibilities. What started as a simple seating arrangement quickly evolved into something more meaningful. As they began talking, it became clear that there was a genuine connection between them. Their conversation was likely filled with the excitement of new possibilities, as well as the comfort of discovering shared interests and mutual respect. Despite the differences in their backgrounds, Perino being entrenched in the political world of Washington and McMahon coming from the business sector, they found common ground. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and what could have been just another fleeting encounter became the beginning of a lifelong partnership. For Perino, meeting McMahon may have felt like a breath of fresh air. After all, she was contemplating stepping away from the political world that had left her feeling disillusioned. McMahon, with his British charm and different perspective, offered her an opportunity to explore something new and exciting, something outside the constraints of her usual environment. In a way, their meeting on that flight symbolized a new chapter for Perino, one that would eventually lead her to embrace love and companionship alongside her professional endeavors. After an unexpected but enthralling conversation during a flight from Denver to Chicago, Dana Perino found herself captivated by Peter McMahon, the charming British businessman she had just met. Their conversation had been effortless, flowing with a natural ease that hinted at a deeper connection. But as the plane touched down and they prepared to part ways, Perino faced a dilemma: how to maintain the connection without appearing too forward. Despite her strong interest in McMahon, Perino was mindful of the delicate balance between showing enthusiasm and maintaining a sense of professionalism. She didn't want to come across as too aggressive or eager, especially since they had just met. Yet the idea of not continuing their conversation was equally unappealing. So, she devised a plan that she believed would strike the right balance between personal interest and professional decorum. Instead of simply giving McMahon her phone number, which might have seemed too personal or casual, Perino decided to present herself in a way that was both accessible and professional. She handed him a card, not just any card, but one that included all of her contact information: her home number, office number, fax number, and email address. It was a move that reflected both her interest in staying in touch and her desire to convey that she was a woman of substance, someone with a professional life and a serious approach to relationships. McMahon, for his part, was amused by the gesture. In his recollection of the moment, he later joked about the sheer volume of contact information Perino had provided him with. It was as if she had given him every possible avenue to reach her, leaving no stone unturned. But beneath the humor, there was a mutual understanding that this exchange was significant. The card was more than just a means of communication. It was a symbol of the connection they had formed in those few hours on the plane. Despite Perino's careful approach, the connection between them was undeniable. McMahon, who had been equally smitten during their initial conversation, didn't hesitate to follow up. However, instead of calling her right away, he chose to express his feelings in a more thoughtful and measured way. He decided to write her an email, a medium that allowed him to articulate his thoughts with care and consideration. In the email, he conveyed what he had been feeling since their first chat, expressing his admiration and his interest in getting to know her better. For McMahon, writing the email was likely an important step in solidifying the connection they had made. It allowed him to take his time and choose his words carefully, ensuring that his message would be clear and heartfelt. He didn't want to rush into anything or overwhelm Perino, but he also didn't want to let the opportunity pass by. The email was his way of bridging the gap between their initial meeting and whatever might come next. On the other hand, Perino's response to the situation was quite different. After giving McMahon her card, she found herself in a state of anticipation, yet she didn't immediately check her inbox for his response. Perhaps it was a subconscious effort to give herself some space, to not appear too eager, or simply to let things unfold at their own pace. But as the days went by, her feelings became more intense. During the 10 days that followed their meeting, Perino found herself consumed by thoughts of McMahon. She couldn't eat, sleep, or even focus on reading, activities that would normally have been part of her daily routine. It was as if her world had been turned upside down by this chance encounter. The connection they had made in those few short hours on the plane had a profound impact on her, leaving her in a state of emotional limbo as she waited to hear from him. Finally, after 10 long days, Perino logged onto her computer and checked her inbox. There it was, McMahon's email. At that moment, all the anxiety and anticipation she had been feeling came to a head. She read his words, likely with a mixture of relief and excitement, realizing that the feelings she had experienced during their conversation were reciprocated. McMahon's email was not just a message, it was a confirmation that the connection they had felt was real and that he was as eager to continue exploring it as she was. After their initial meeting and the exchange of an email that sparked a deepening connection, Dana Perino and Peter McMahon found themselves navigating the challenges of a long-distance relationship. Separated by an ocean, with Perino in Washington, D.C., and McMahon in the UK, they were determined not to let the physical distance diminish the bond they had begun to forge. In the weeks that followed, the couple invested heavily in their relationship, both emotionally and financially. International calls became a lifeline, bridging the gap between them. These calls were more than just conversations. They were moments of connection that helped sustain their growing affection. With each call, they learned more about each other's lives, dreams, and personalities, deepening their understanding and appreciation of one another. But the geographical distance was a constant challenge, requiring both patience and commitment. Their dedication to maintaining this connection was evident in the lengths they went to ensure that they stayed in touch. At a time when international communication was far less convenient and much more expensive than it is today, The couple willingly bore the financial burden of making these long-distance calls. Every phone conversation was a reminder of the physical distance between them, but also a testament to the emotional closeness they were developing. Despite the satisfaction these calls brought, the couple knew that a relationship built solely on phone conversations wouldn't be enough. They needed to see each other in person to truly test the strength of their bond. This realization led them to plan a weekend together in New Orleans, a city known for its vibrant culture, music, and romance, a fitting backdrop for their much-anticipated reunion. For McMahon, the days leading up to their New Orleans meeting were filled with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. He arrived in the city on a Friday evening, eager to see Perino again. After checking into his hotel and freshening up, he quickly made his way back to the airport, unable to wait any longer. The excitement of seeing her again turned him into what he later described as a teenager on his first date, anxiously pacing around the airport, his heart racing as he waited for her flight to land. The nervous energy he felt was palpable, a mix of hope, excitement, and a touch of fear. What if their connection wasn't the same in person? But those worries were overshadowed by the anticipation of seeing Perino, of being able to hold her and talk to her face to face. Perino, too, was filled with a mixture of emotions as her plane descended into New Orleans. She was excited to see McMahon again, but also felt the weight of expectation. After all, this was more than just a weekend getaway. It was a pivotal moment in their relationship. She knew that their reunion could either solidify the connection they had felt over the phone or reveal cracks that could be difficult to mend. As the plane touched down, Perino's nerves intensified. She knew she needed to act quickly, to follow through on her decision to make this relationship work. In a moment of decisive courage, she resolved to run off the plane as soon as it landed. Perino understood that if she hesitated, if she allowed fear or uncertainty to take hold, she might lose the momentum needed to bridge the gap between them. Less than a year after their serendipitous meeting on a flight, Peter McMahon made a bold and impulsive decision that would change both his life and Dana Perino's forever. The two had spent months building a strong, enduring connection, despite the challenges of a long-distance relationship. Their love had grown through countless phone calls, visits, and letters, and McMahon knew deep in his heart that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Perino. He also knew that the only way they could truly be together was to close the physical distance between them, and that meant taking the next step: marriage. McMahon's proposal was anything but traditional. It was spontaneous, heartfelt, and perfectly captured the essence of their relationship. The moment occurred outside the Washington National Cathedral, a place of grandeur and beauty, fitting for such a significant occasion. But for McMahon, it wasn't the location that mattered most. It was the urgency and sincerity of the gesture. Without much premeditation, he got down on one knee and asked Perino to marry him. His words were simple, direct, and laced with the deep love and commitment he felt. "It's the only way we could be together," he told her. This proposal wasn't just about romance. It was about the practical realities of their situation. McMahon was living in the UK, and Perino was deeply rooted in her career in Washington, D.C. They had reached a point where maintaining a long-distance relationship was no longer sustainable if they wanted to build a life together. McMahon understood that marriage was the only way they could truly bridge the gap between their two worlds, allowing them to be together not just in spirit, but in every aspect of their lives. For Perino, the proposal was both thrilling and overwhelming. She had already fallen deeply in love with McMahon, but the idea of marriage, especially under such circumstances, required serious consideration. Perino was a woman who valued thoughtfulness and careful planning, and she knew that such a decision would shape the rest of her life. She needed time to process the proposal and to reflect on what marriage would mean for her career, her identity, and her future with McMahon. So, despite McMahon's heartfelt plea, Perino didn't give an immediate answer. She needed to be sure, to fully understand the gravity of what she was committing to. The months that followed were likely filled with introspection for Perino. She had to balance her love for McMahon with her own personal ambitions and the life she had built in Washington. It wasn't just about saying yes to the man she loved. It was about saying yes to a new life, one that would require significant changes and sacrifices. A full year passed from the day they first met before Perino was ready to give her response. It was a year marked by continued growth in their relationship, visits between the UK and the US, and the deepening of their emotional bond. During that time, Perino must have weighed the pros and cons, considered the challenges ahead, and ultimately came to the conclusion that McMahon was the man she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. Perino's response to McMahon's proposal was as thoughtful and deliberate as she was. Rather than simply telling him her answer, she chose to express her feelings in a letter, a medium that allowed her to fully articulate the depth of her love and the significance of her decision. The letter was a reflection of Perino's personality, sincere, heartfelt, and meticulously crafted. In the letter, Perino poured out her heart to McMahon. She wrote about how much she loved him, how much she had enjoyed her time in the UK, and how much she cherished being with him. Each word was carefully chosen to convey the profound impact McMahon had made on her life. She didn't just want to say yes. She wanted to explain why she was saying yes to ensure that McMahon understood the depth of her commitment. McMahon, who had been waiting for this moment with a mixture of hope and anticipation, was deeply moved by the letter. As he read through Perino's words, he could feel the love and sincerity that had gone into writing it. When he reached the end and saw the words, "Yes, I will marry you," it was the culmination of everything he had been hoping for since the day he proposed. Since their marriage in 1998, Dana Perino and Peter McMahon have navigated their lives together with a strong foundation of mutual respect and unwavering support for each other's careers. Their relationship is a testament to the power of partnership, where both individuals are deeply committed to each other's success and happiness. McMahon, in particular, has played a crucial role in supporting Perino's professional endeavors, even when it meant making significant personal sacrifices. From the beginning, McMahon understood the demands of Perino's career in the political sphere. As a businessman with his own set of responsibilities, he recognized the importance of being a steadfast partner, especially given the unique challenges of a career in Washington, D.C. His support was not just a passive acceptance of her ambitions, but an active encouragement of her professional growth. One of the most significant demonstrations of McMahon's support came during the Monica Lewinsky scandal in the late 1990s. This period was particularly tumultuous in Washington, D.C., and Perino, like many others, found the environment overwhelming. The scandal dominated the news cycle, and the political atmosphere was charged with tension and uncertainty. Recognizing the toll it was taking on Perino, McMahon supported her decision to step away from the intensity of D.C. and relocate to the UK for a time. This move allowed Perino to gain perspective, recharge, and refocus her energies. It was a decision that could have strained their marriage, but instead, it strengthened their bond. McMahon's willingness to uproot his own life to accommodate Perino's needs was a clear indication of his dedication to her well-being and career. Their time in the UK was a period of growth for both of them. Away from the political pressures of Washington, Perino was able to reconnect with herself and explore new opportunities. Meanwhile, McMahon continued to support her, understanding that this time away was crucial for her mental health and future career. The decision to leave Washington, even temporarily, was not an easy one, but with McMahon by her side, Perino felt empowered to make the choices that were best for her. Eventually, their journey led them to San Diego, another significant move that was guided by Perino's career needs. San Diego offered a different pace of life, and it provided Perino with the space she needed to prepare for her return to the political arena. McMahon, once again, was fully supportive of the move, demonstrating his commitment to their partnership and to Perino's career. His ability to adapt and support her through these relocations was a key factor in their relationship's success. The events of September 11, 2001, marked a turning point for Perino, as it did for many Americans. The attacks galvanized her desire to return to Capitol Hill, feeling a renewed sense of duty and purpose. McMahon supported her decision to dive back into the heart of Washington's political landscape, despite the challenges it posed to their personal lives. He understood the importance of her work and never wavered in his encouragement, even as the demands on her time and energy increased. As Perino's career evolved, so did McMahon's role in their relationship. He continued to be a source of strength and stability, providing her with the emotional and practical support she needed to thrive in her career. His support was evident in the way he embraced the moves, the career shifts, and the high-pressure environment that came with Perino's role in the political world. In recent years, as Perino transitioned into a new phase of her career with Fox News, McMahon's support has remained as strong as ever. Perino's latest venture, Dana Perino's Book Club, is a reflection of her passion for literature and her desire to share that passion with others. The show, which is part of Fox Nation's on-demand short-form programming, allows Perino to showcase selected authors and popular books on a monthly basis. It's a project that combines her love of storytelling with her journalistic expertise, and McMahon has been there every step of the way. In March 2020, Dana Perino and her husband, Peter McMahon, made the significant decision to leave behind their bustling New York City life. The city, which had long been at the heart of their professional lives, was suddenly transformed by the onset of the pandemic. The streets were eerily quiet, the usual hum of activity replaced by a sense of uncertainty and anxiety. For many New Yorkers, the city's vibrancy was one of its greatest attractions, but in the face of a global crisis, it became clear that a change was necessary. Perino and McMahon chose to retreat to the more serene and familiar environment of Bay Head, New Jersey, a decision that reflected their deep connection to this coastal community. Bay Head had always been a place of refuge for the couple, a weekend getaway where they could escape the intensity of their professional lives and reconnect with each other. "New York City we adore, but this is where we live," Perino said, capturing the essence of their relationship with Bay Head. For them, it was not just a place to visit, but a place that felt like home, a place where they could truly relax and be themselves. The decision to relocate to Bay Head during the pandemic was not just about seeking physical safety. It was about finding emotional and mental solace as well. In Bay Head, Perino and McMahon found a sense of ease that was increasingly difficult to maintain in New York City. The coastal town provided a slower pace of life, one that allowed them to focus on what truly mattered: their relationship, their health, and their well-being. The small-town atmosphere of Bay Head, where people knew each other and shared a sense of community, was a stark contrast to the often impersonal and hectic environment of New York City. One of the key aspects of their time in Bay Head was the community's respect for their privacy. Despite Perino's high-profile career as a Fox News host, the residents of Bay Head did not treat her as a celebrity. "A lot of people here watch Fox, or at least watch the daily briefing," Perino noted. "But nobody asks me to gossip or talk about politics. We feel really at ease here." This respect for their personal space allowed Perino and McMahon to enjoy a sense of normalcy that was increasingly rare in the world of 24-hour news cycles and constant media attention. In Bay Head, they could simply be themselves, without the pressures and expectations that often accompanied their public personas. However, the transition from using Bay Head as a weekend retreat to living there full-time during a global pandemic brought its own set of challenges. Like many couples who suddenly found themselves working from home together, Perino and McMahon had to navigate the complexities of sharing a space in ways they had not previously experienced. The initial novelty of spending all day, every day together, quickly gave way to the realization that even the most loving relationships require a certain amount of personal space. Perino candidly shared some of the more mundane, yet relatable frustrations that arose during this time. One such frustration revolved around McMahon's habit of leaving his toothbrush in a spot that interfered with Perino's morning routine. "If he doesn't stop putting his toothbrush where I need to get my blow dryer," Perino joked. "I see that and I think, why does he just drop it there?" This seemingly small annoyance was emblematic of the kinds of everyday challenges that couples around the world were facing as they adjusted to spending unprecedented amounts of time together. On weekdays, the calm and quiet of Perino's house gave way to a hive of activity as her home transformed into a fully functional broadcast studio. The transformation began each day at around 12:30 p.m., when her cameraman and an assistant arrived to set up for the day's work. Their presence was crucial, ensuring that the technical aspects of her broadcasts were seamless, despite the less-than-ideal circumstances. The setup included a massive 90-inch screen that took over the guest room, providing a variety of professional backdrops that could be uploaded and changed as needed. This improvised studio was a far cry from the bustling Fox News headquarters, but it allowed Perino to maintain a sense of continuity and professionalism in her broadcasts. Perino was candid about the challenges of this new setup. While the backdrops and equipment provided a polished appearance, she admitted that not everything always went smoothly. "Sometimes I'll think, that wasn't the smoothest," she acknowledged, reflecting on the occasional technical hiccups or the natural imperfections that come with live broadcasts from home. However, these minor issues were met with understanding from both her colleagues and viewers, who recognized that everyone was navigating uncharted waters. The collective experience of the pandemic had created a more forgiving atmosphere, where the pursuit of perfection took a backseat to authenticity and connection. This shift toward authenticity was particularly evident in one of Perino's more novel endeavors during the pandemic: story time with Dana. As schools across the country shut down, parents found themselves juggling work, childcare, and education, often all within the same space. Perino, known for her love of books, saw an opportunity to help ease some of this burden. "I'm known as a nerd at Fox with all my books," she said, embracing her reputation with a sense of pride. She had friends who were struggling to figure out how to balance their jobs with the demands of homeschooling and daycare, and she wanted to offer a small respite. What began as a simple 15-minute story time on Facebook Live quickly gained popularity. Perino would read a children's book, just as a local librarian might, offering a comforting and familiar routine for children during a time of upheaval. Sometimes she was joined by her beloved Hungarian Vizsla, Jasper, who quickly became a fan favorite. The success of the Facebook Live sessions caught the attention of Fox News, leading to an expanded version of Storytime with Dana on the network. The program provided not just entertainment, but a sense of stability and normalcy for families navigating the uncertainties of the pandemic. Perino's home life during this time wasn't all work, though. Despite the demands of her new routine, she and her husband, Peter McMahon, found ways to enjoy the simple pleasures that Bayhead offered. One of their favorite activities was riding around town on their motorcycle, with Jasper comfortably seated in the sidecar. "He's famous in Bayhead," Perino joked, referring to Jasper's popularity not just locally, but also with viewers of The Five, where he often made appearances. The image of the three of them, Perino, McMahon, and Jasper, cruising through Bayhead, is emblematic of the couple's ability to adapt and find joy even in challenging times. The pandemic may have altered the way they worked and lived, but it also deepened their connection to their community and to each other. In many ways, the experience brought out the best in them, highlighting their resilience, creativity, and commitment to both their personal and professional lives. For Perino, the blending of her professional duties with her home life wasn't without its challenges, but it also offered unexpected rewards. The opportunity to connect with her audience in more personal and innovative ways, whether through the creation of a home studio or the simple act of reading a book to children, added new dimensions to her role as a broadcaster. It wasn't just about maintaining a professional front. It was about embracing the changes and finding new ways to be of service during a time of global crisis. What do you think about the love story of Dana Perino and her husband? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.